going to be one of the last processes that we do with this car. I'm going to show you how to put on a sealant and a wax. Very similar, but just kind of a newer technology with sealants and a carnauba wax, which is kind of an old school way of waxing, but still works perfectly too. There's an endless amount of products out there that can get this job done. I picked two here that I have today that are pretty much readily available. It'll be easy for anybody to get them if they want to follow along with this video. We have this tech wax. This is basically what would be called a sealant now. And then you have the old school kind of carnauba wax. Now this traditionally will give you a little bit better gloss, but it doesn't last quite as long as these new sealants. That might last you a couple months if this is a daily driver outside, sitting outside. This might last 3 to 6 months. It all depends on kind of your outside conditions and then the product itself. I've had good luck with these sealants lasting quite a while. So you can go ahead and do this a couple ways. You can do this by hand, or you can do it with what I have here, which is a polisher. If detailing is something that you're getting into, I definitely recommend getting one of these. You don't have to have this specific model. There's a lot of different kinds today, but this makes life a lot easier. Now what we would traditionally do with this car next would be to polish it. If we wanted to go the full, every single step of detailing, we would polish this car. We would get the swirls out of it, we'd make the paint look absolutely perfect, and then we would be putting on a sealant or a wax. But we're not going to do that with this car. It's just a daily driver. It's going to go ahead and be out in the elements again soon, and it's already got a lot of swirls on it. We're not trying to make it absolutely showroom perfect. Okay, so now I'll bring you in and show you how you would go ahead and do this process. So first we'll do this part by hand. You basically just shake this up, and then you're just going to put a little bit on your applicator here. This is kind of to get the pad ready on the first time, but you really don't need much on each pass. You'll start to notice when it's not laying down much anymore, but you don't want to put it on too heavy because you're really just wasting product. Obviously when you're touching the paint here, only so much can really grab onto the paint and kind of bond with it to give you that protection. So adding a bunch of extra isn't really going to do you any good because you're going to be wiping it off later. So we're just going to take this and you're just going to lightly go around in circles here. Some people will do this method. I like to do the circles with this. It's about the only time you ever want to use this motion on a car because you're obviously doing a swirling motion, which will give the paint some swirls, but we've cleaned everything off. This is a very soft applicator. This is a very light process. We're not doing any damage here. So this will go quite a ways, and you'll be able to kind of tell as you look at the angle here. I'll try to bring you in for an angle to show you what it looks like. So you can kind of see all those tiny swirls, just a little bit of product there, just a very light amount. You just go ahead and add a little bit more on here to do some more sections. You just keep going, and you do the whole car this way. Just making sure that you're overlapping and you're getting a nice, even, thin coat on there. So that would be doing it by hand. The same would work if you're using a paste wax, which is something like this. This looks a little bit different, but you would do exactly the same thing. You just dip this in there, get some of this paste on there, and then do your motions, getting it the same thing, a light, even coat all the way around. So now I'll show you how to use this buffer and do the exact same process. Obviously this is going to be easier, faster. We can get the whole car done in probably 15 minutes or less. Now a couple other things to mention before we use this is read the product directions on how long to leave it on. Some of them you can put on there and wipe right off. Some of them you have to let it dry or kind of haze, and then you can buff it off later with a microfiber towel. This particular one said to do the whole car and let it dry and then buff it off with a microfiber. So we're just gonna let this sit. I'm gonna do the rest of the car with this buffer, and I'll show you how to do that. One quick other tip is also some of these products are safe to use on, you can get it on any of the black trims and things like that, and it won't leave a white stain. Most of these products of waxes will leave a stain, especially the carnaubas. They will usually always leave a stain. Some of these new sealants are formulated where they won't. This particular one I believe still will leave a stain, so if you get to any of your trim pieces up on the windshield or some around the doors, you want to stay away from there, or if you want to get really close to them with something like this, you really want to tape it off. Usually I just don't get very close, and then I'll just go do those little areas by hand. So go ahead and do this again, just a light coat. And now I have this on a speed of 3 on here. So it's a good idea to put the cord over on your back like this so that it's not rubbing up against the paint, and then we're just going to put this down. And just let it ride. So as you can see, this really isn't doing a whole lot of spinning. It's basically kind of just evenly spreading this product around, and that's what you want. This will go a long ways, and then once you start to feel like it's running out, you can actually press this down on the paint and you'll get some more. And you'll get the exact same even coat on there. So that's what this is nice for. We're going to do the rest of the car with this, and I'll show you the end result. Final process with the waxing is going to be taking a clean microfiber and just buffing this off. Hopefully you can see kind of what's on here still. We've allowed this to dry. We're just going to go ahead. Flip over to the clean side. Make sure you get all the residue off. It might take a few microfiber towels to do the whole car sometimes. It just depends on how much of this gets kind of into this towel, and then it'll just kind of stop working after a little while. That's the process. I'll go around the whole car, do that same exact thing.